From the Israel Sports Radio Studios in Jerusalem, Israel, our nation's capital, it's Louis Live! Nation host, me, Ari Louis. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. It's a hot one out there in the nation's capital, 97 degrees Fahrenheit. Boiling in the studio, and it's night here. It's 9:02. It's a hot one. But hopefully you're cooling off at least a little bit. You're listening to me, Louis Live, on Israel Sports Radio. And we have an enjoyable show for you. A lot of sports news to get into. Top story, in my opinion, will Penn State be given the death penalty? We're going to ask our panel later on in the program. We will have Yossi G, Josh Hastings, Jim Williams, and a special guest at 10:30, Neil Amrani. We'll ask the Penn State question as well as others that are out there in the world of sports. Linsanity continues. Jerry Lin is going to go to the Houston Rockets. RG3 signs a 4-year deal with the Skins. And a lot more in little NBA news. The Nets are going to re-sign Humphries to a 2-year deal. And remember, they have some good pieces. Got Deron Williams back. They have Joe Johnson for the trade from the Atlanta Hawks. Colts are looking to make a bid to have the Super Bowl back there. They had it last season. Last Super Bowl was there. And they're looking to have it in 2018 as well. And apparently the Cowboys wideout Des Bryant, his mom, is reporting assault. So we'll get into that. CeCe comes out the DL and pitches a victory for the Yanks as they get past Rafi's Jays 6-1. We're going to now dial up our first guest. You know him because he is a fan favorite of the program, my former co-host back from October to February. He is on vacation, so we're very happy. He was on the program last week. We're happy that he's coming back. Also, thanks to Bryn Jonathan Butler and Broncos Mike for being on yesterday's show. That was a lot of fun. Yossi G, can you hear us?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, it's going great. Pleasure to have on Yossi G now and Louis Live on Israel Sports Radio. Yossi G, tell the fans who did not get a chance to listen to you last week, where are you right now? Where are you calling from?
Well, actually, right now, I'm back in stateside. I'm back in terra firma of the Great 48. Last week was in Puerto Rico, a nice little adventure there out on the territories of the United States, but now back in New York. Back actually in the Catskill Mountains, a.k.a. the Jewish Alps.
Right.
Having a great time over here.
Oh, awesome. Okay, great. So you're out in the Jewish Alps. That's good stuff there. That's a lot of fun. And how much longer are you going to be stateside before you go back out again?
Well, I think I'm going to be here for about another week or so, and then I'm off to Florida for a few days. Got some business to take care of, and then go back to New York.
Okay. All right, good stuff there. So some secret business stuff. We'll let you keep that to your devices. Let's get into a lot of sports news. Let's start first. Biggest story, in my opinion. They're talking about giving Penn State the death penalty because more and more information is coming out about Sandusky and the cover-up, not just of Joe Paterno, but of the AD, the president, the vice president, and so on. What are your thoughts if they deserve the death penalty, and what are your thoughts about the odds of Penn State getting it?
Well, I don't know so much about – I'm going to answer the second one first. I don't know so much about the odds that they're going to get it per se, but the NCAA and all of the hierarchy that would be involved in such a decision really it's an unfortunate situation that has occurred at Penn State on their campus and, of course, off campus as well with this whole Jerry Sandusky thing. But that said, the death penalty is a very serious call it a side effect, but here it will be a very serious penalty for Penn State to be given, and the NCAA and everybody that would be involved in such a decision really must take every bit of information, every bit of evidence, if you may, that comes to light and really weigh it, because the last time it happened there at Southern Methodist University, SMU, back in the mid-'80s, late 80s, that program has not recovered to date from that death penalty, and you're talking about 25 years later. So they really have to see if there is any distinction to be made from sport on the field and for what happened off the field, and if there is a distinction to be made, then to make that distinction. If not, then to, as you'd like to say, leave them to their own devices and have them make the best decision that they feel would best represent the forward-moving progress of college sports.
Okay, now let's talk about your personal opinion. Do you think they deserve it?
I don't know all of the details. As you said, there's still details that are coming to light, and based on the details that have come to light to date, I don't think that they deserve the death penalty fully imposed as we have known the death penalty to be. Is there some sort of penalty that should be imposed upon Penn State? Absolutely. However, you also must bear in mind that the mistakes that a few people made should not necessarily be pushed on to the rest of the university, but nonetheless they must learn from these mistakes, and if they can somehow figure out a way by which to minimize the suffering that will come to the sports athletes for the future, for the near future of Penn State, based upon the actions of what happened that were out of their control, because these things have happened in the past. If they could somehow mesh that gap and to bridge the common learning so that the ADs of the future should better be prepared for such a situation were it, God forbid, to occur anywhere else, that that the head coach should not be given as much autonomy as he had been given, and nor as much control over things that happen off the field. And you look at a lot of things that were also hush-hush, were various players who went ahead and did criminal offenses off campus. Suddenly, there were, not to speak ill of the dead, but suddenly Joe Paterno found himself in the mix of everything, trying to kind of sweep things under the carpet and say, don't give such a severe, harsh penalty because we can't have this player who is the star middle linebacker of the team miss a few games next season. Let's let him do some community service. So there should be more of a lesson for growth, a lesson to be learned from here, than to just say, okay, the future athletes who had nothing to do with things that happened here in the past, they're going to get penalized, and all the people who kind of allowed things to go about are going to, so to speak, walk scot-free.
Okay, so you think in this situation that maybe what we can do is learn from all the problems that occurred. Do you think maybe we should take some power away from positions of head coach, president, vice president, AD of other universities, so maybe they can't hush things up and there could be a better channel for people reporting these type of crimes?
Well, the universities in general have the various and different boards, different people who are at the heads of various things, and checks and balances sort of thing, if you may, that like the U.S. government is supposed to have, without getting too political over here. And what happened in Penn State is that the university allowed for the football culture to really guide it in its everyday life. No matter what it was that happened on or off campus, if it best represented the future for the football team, then so be it. If it, for whatever reason, was not going to be in the best interest for the football team, then they are going to allow for a player to get away with something that she should not have gone away with, either completely or give him a lighter sort of punishment. You can try to make that there should be different departments heading different areas of campus life, but if they are not enforced, if the dean of the school or the chancellor of the institution, the athletic director, whoever it is that is supposed to be the one who's the oversighter of all of this to make sure that everybody who is in their appropriate positions should only be the ones dishing out advice or giving having the responsibility for making sure that certain things operate as they should and not, so to speak, overstepping their boundaries. That person has to really be able to have the ball when he needs to and step in and say, no, you can't do that because it's out of your jurisdiction. In a case like what happened in Penn State, that did not occur.
Okay, so kind of one of these things where we're going to learn from the mistakes, hopefully. When do you expect all the information, though, to come out and a decision to be made if Penn State is going to get the death penalty or not?
I would expect a decision to be made with regard for the death penalty or not before the next college football season begins, but I don't think we're going to know all the information for perhaps years to come. There will still be things coming to light.
For years, really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Interesting stuff. All right, so we'll keep an eye on that. Let's go to other sports news. Jeremy Lin is going to end up with the Rockets. I mean, it looked like a lot of people thought he was going to head back to the Knicks. What do you think was the main reason that he's going to Houston?
Well, the main reason that the Knicks are saying that he's going to Houston and that a lot of other people are saying that he's going to Houston is because of the absolute genius move by the Houston GM to take the contract that they had offered Jeremy Lin, the 4 years, $28 million, which the Knicks said that they were going to match, and rework it, and to make it 3 years, $25 million with $15 million guaranteed in the third year. That being the case, they pretty much knew the Knicks are not going to match that because they are going to be extremely way over the cap come the final year of his contract, close to $40 million in luxury tax, which they were not going to want to do. So with that said, that really is the reason, or at least the reason that the Knicks are letting onto as for why they did not match Lynn's contract tender that he was given by Houston and allowed him to walk to the Rockets.
What is then Houston's incentive or purpose of getting Jeremy Lin? Why do they want him so bad?
Oh, look at what happened when they got Yao Ming. They opened up inroads to an entire region of the world that had not really been touched before. Yao put in almost 10 years in Houston, and the contract and the companies that the Rockets had made inroads with due to Yao Ming, a couple of his teammates even signed shoe contracts with sneaker companies in China, riding Yao Ming's coattails. So now, when you have the first Asian American-born Taiwanese descent player in the NBA, and with the electrifying run that he had while he was healthy with the Knicks, why not? Let's go make those inroads again. Let's go strengthen that entire marketing brand that we had there in the Far East.
Okay, so you think this is basically a deal to set up for jersey sales?
This is a marketing deal, bar none. Mark my words, they don't. I mean, of course, if Jeremy Lin is going to, be a player that he showed that he can be, that will be like a cherry on top of the cake. This whole thing right now, this deal is all about marketing the team, marketing the profitability margins, and the bottom line that will be the Houston Rockets in the Far East.
All right, now let's talk about Dwight Howard. It looked like it wasn't going to be a foregone conclusion, basically. Dot the I's, cross the T's. He was going to go to your Brooklyn Nets, and now it looks like he could potentially go to Los Angeles. So what is the latest about the Dwight Howard sweepstakes?
Well, it's 2 years ago was the summer of the decision. This has been the season of the indecision. Dwight Howard has got to grow up. I mean, we've been hearing about all this trade talk since last January. And by him signing that extra year with Orlando, the Magic are not in a rush to deal him because they can wait another 5-6 months until the trade deadline comes in the middle of the season and then see, okay, what sort of offer do we have? Now, they're in no rush to deal unless they get an offer that they deem to be worthy. If it's not that like he's going to walk in 5 months from now, he still has at least half a season left in Orlando, whether he likes it or not. And if he wants to increase his trade value, then he's going to definitely have to play well in Orlando. The chances of him going to LA are fairly strong. Howard has a house in Southern California that he lives in the off season, and if he doesn't take this a potential deal to LA right now, then he may just have to sell his house there in Los Angeles because the fans certainly will not want to see him walking around in the LA area if he chose not to go play for the Lakers.
All right, now what do you think are the odds of this getting this done? Because it seems like even though he's under contract with Orlando, I just don't think he can go back to there at this point. What are your thoughts, though, the chances of him going to Los Angeles?
The chances of him going to Los Angeles are almost the same chances that he has of going to Brooklyn, because
right.
at the end of the day, this is a Dwight Howard show, production, produced, directed, and, it's all him. It's all about him. And until he gets his head screwed on straight and really decides what he wants to do, where he wants to go with the future of his career, it's always going to be the indecision, the indecisiveness of Dwight Howard. He doesn't know himself. If he was smart about it, as much as I'd love to see him go to Brooklyn and play for the Nets, he would go to L.A. because he's got a point guard there in Steve Nash. He's still has Kobe there. He's got Bynum. Go. Have a great opportunity to win a championship and become the face of the franchise.
Yeah, wait. He would be the face of the franchise.
Yes, even though right now you have Kobe, who is there, who's got 29,000-plus points, who's playing in the league for 17 years, and he will be the face of wherever it is that he's going to be. Dwight Howard is the force to be reckoned with for the future. And Kobe himself said last week that he may only have 2 more years, and then he may just go retire then while he still has legs and knees that he could walk on.
Huh, very interesting. Okay, so he could potentially be the face. You're talking about after Kobe retires being the face of the franchise.
Well, right now he could be right now it could be Kobe and Dwight, but after Kobe retires, for sure, without a doubt in my mind, Dwight Howard, the force, the Superman himself, can bring that personality that is bigger than life, larger than life that he's got, and bring it straight to L.A. right there, kind of like, Shaq had, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, all those stars that played that position and played it well.
All right, we're speaking with Yossi G here. If the Lakers get Dwight Howard, are they the favorites to come out of the West over OKC?
Yeah, I think it's going to be everybody's show that we're just going to be watching. It's going to be OKC and LA in the conference finals, and this go-around it's going to be LA taking it and pretty much going to meet Miami in the finals, and that's just the bottom line because I said so.
All right. Let's go on to some other news. Looks like CC is back after the DL stint, gets the win over the Blue Jays. How do you think he will go back down the stretch? You're always a little nervous about the Yankees pitching if you're a Yankees fan with their DL struggles with CC and Andy Pettitte. So what do you think about CC's performance off the DL?
Looking at what he's done or what he did from the first start off the DL, it was a very good, solid performance that he put out there. 6 innings, no earned runs, I should say. And it's hopeful. You expect that from your ace, and he comes back from the DL. It's almost like he's got a little bit of a break in the middle of the year. It's good. It's good. I like it, and I'm only looking forward to bigger, better, and badder from him.
So you like the Yankees to win the division? They have a huge lead, 8 games. You don't see them lose that at this point.
It's always their division to lose. Always. Any given year right now, it's the Yankees' division to lose. It's theirs until another team comes and proves that they can take it from them.
All right. Let's go to football now. RG3 signs a 4-year deal with the Redskins. I believe $21 million. What are your thoughts? Do you think the Redskins got a bit of a bargain for the number 2 pick with that deal?
Anytime you give away $21 million guaranteed, even though it is over 4 years, to somebody who's never never stepped onto a professional football field, that's a lot of money. I don't care what the last name on the back of the jersey says. It's still a lot of money. The bigger shock to me is that RG3 is the first top 8 draft pick from the first round to have signed a tender contract with his team that drafted him. That is actually the biggest surprise to me, more than RG3 signing his 4-year deal with the Redskins.
Okay, so that more surprised you. And then who do you think will be a better pro this rookie season, Andrew Luck or RG3?
You know what? If you give Whedon the ball, I actually think he has a chance to outshine them both. He's a little older. Yes, he's not had that many snaps from the quarterback position, only 19 games, but that maturity. I mean, he was a baseball player before he decided to go try out for football. I mean, you're kidding me? This kid was a AAA draft pick. So you're talking about a professional already before he even steps foot into the college football level, and you give him the right mix, the right opportunities, it would not surprise me if Braden Weeden actually has a better season than RG3 and Andrew Luck.
Wow, okay, so big words from Yossi G about all that. Let's talk about the Minnesota governor kind of stepping in to defend Adrian Peterson, running back for the Vikings. What do you think about that? You get a mixture of politics and sports. What are your thoughts about that?
Every time the two of them mix together, usually does not end up being a healthy mix. I don't really know what he was thinking other than trying to protect his state's assets, or asset in this case being Adrian Peterson. And since when does a player become an asset of a state? I guess it just happened last week.
Absolutely there. Let's go down to your Jets. What has been new with them, with your ball club, and the Green Bay Packers? Saw an interesting story last week. They made a tremendous amount of money last season, 15-1, of course, the regular season record. What are your thoughts right now about your two favorite football teams?
Well, let's put it this way: the Green Bay Packers are the only team to be owned. They're like FUBU, for us, by us. They're owned by their fans. And what kind of better team can you hope for as a fan than a team that actually gives you the opportunity to buy shares of the team itself? So, of course, they're going to make money because they got a rabid fan base in Green Bay. They live, bleed, and eat and sleep Green Bay Packer cheeseheads. Okay, they're nuts. They're crazy, and they are awesome, and that's why they call them fanatics. With that said, the Jets are just look, all that they were successful in this offseason was drawing interest back to them, and they certainly won the Super Bowl of that. However, with the media Super Bowl victory, they now have to win the real Super Bowl, the one that you actually play on the football field. And it will be a surprise to me if they actually make the playoffs, because there just seems to be too much going on off the field, too many distractions for them to actually put together a competitive season for which they will make the postseason and actually play.
All right, and last question before I let you go. Let's go to Kobe Bryant was apparently charged with assault, going back to basketball. Excuse me, sexual assault, of course, in 2003. He opens up in an interview about it. Why is he bringing this up now? I mean, I think most of the public has forgotten about that, but what are your thoughts?
The only thing that I could really think about as to why he would be bringing it up now, opening up old wounds, is really to put everything out there on the table where he says, okay, this is me. Maybe it's a prelude to a book that he's going to write entitled that. I don't know. But he wants to tell the everyday fan, look, this is who I am. There's no secrets about me. Everything that you thought about me, this is now the opportunity for you to get the answers for all those questions that you had about me in my personal life, off the field issues that have come about during my career. I've been around. I've been in your face for half my life. Mo, he was drafted at 17. He's been playing in the league for 17 years, so he's been around. We've all heard about it. We've kind of like the big soap opera reality TV show starring Kobe Bryant that we've all been watching for the last 17 years from when he was drafted as a teenager. I mean, he couldn't even go out to drink with his teammates when he was drafted. He couldn't even go to a strip club because he was underage. So that's just showing you how far along he's come from being a very immature 17-year-old, reigning earball three-point attempts, to actually being a team leader both on and off the field. And now this is that extra point proven where he says, okay, I can do this off the field. Any questions, bring it on. I'll be like Radio Shack. You got a question, I got an answer. Let's go.
Very nice. Good stuff. All right, Yossi G, we got to run, but we appreciate your time here on Louis Live on Israel Sports Radio. Enjoy being back stateside, and we will be in touch.
Sounds good. All the best.
All right, be well. All right, that was Yossi G, and what we're going to do now is we're actually going to play that interview Kobe Bryant did with Graham Benziner. We appreciate Graham's contribution. We're going to play this, and Josh Hastings on the other side. It's Louis Live in Israel, sportsradio.com.
Graham Bensinger is brought to you by Budweiser, the beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, fast finish. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds.
I did an episode with Ray Lewis and ended up getting into talking to him about what happened to him 10 years ago, away from the court, where, here's a guy, everything going in the right direction, ends up being charged with murder. Charges, obviously, later dismissed, but he really credits that part of his life with having gone through that, with really having a positive impact on him moving forward and just having made him a better individual in the long term. It's been nearly a decade now since, what you went through in Eagle with sexual assault. Charges, obviously, similar to Louis, dismissed. To what extent do you think having gone through that, it had a positive impact on you and really made you better long term?
Well, I think it's it challenges who you are as a person. To have to go through something like that, with not only individually but as a family, and then for the organization, the Lakers organization, my teammates, it was extremely difficult, and you kind of had to do some soul searching, because you're fighting numerous battles at the same time, and you're just kind of trying to figure your way through all of this mess. And the only thing that you can do is just put one foot in front of the other and just continue to move forward. And there's nothing else you can do. There's times where it just seems like days are just endless. This is never going to end. This feeling, this dark time is just never going to be over. And I think once you go through something like that, you can't help but be different. You can't help but have a better sense of who you are. And it's Ray and I have had conversations about that. He's a good friend of mine, and we've had those type of conversations of going through things like that. And a lot of times, other players can't relate to that sort of stuff, to that type of pressure. That's real pressure. That's life pressure. It's not hitting a game-winning shot. If you make it, you win. If you miss it, you. That's not pressure.
What did you and Ray speak about when you had
exactly that? Exactly that, about his time and what he went through, and then how he was able to come out of it, and how it made him more determined. And for me, it was much the same.
With the court case, that was really the first time in your life where you didn't have control over your fate.
Right.
What was that experience like?
Well, you have to give it up. You have to give it up. You have to release yourself, and just kind of let things be. And I think that helps your maturity a lot when you try not to control the situation. This is not a basketball game where I have, a lot of control on the outcome. You really just got to let it go. And I think to do that, you instantly have to mature, and to be able to put yourself in that emotional space where you can trust the process.
What do you think you learned from the whole experience?
It's a lot that I've learned through that experience, and a lot of things specifically that I went through during that process that I wish I could dive into. But it's just, I think as a person, it just really teaches you how to let go and how to trust and not try to control everything. And I think that decreases your stress levels tenfold when you're not worrying about the next moment. You're not worrying about what this person may say. You're not worrying about what this outcome may be. Instead, you just kind of let go.
Why do you think you were able to still play basketball so well during that time?
Probably because I'm stubborn.
Because you're stubborn?
That's probably why.
Why do you say that?
Because it was like, on these days, I'm not going to stop playing. I'm not, just because you guys think I should stop playing, just because you guys think that I won't perform as well. I'm going to show you. And truthfully, it was stress release for me, because I've been playing since I was 2. So basketball has always been my escape. It's always been the place of refuge for me. So, why should I take that away now? If anything, the game is going to keep me sane, keep me stable, and help me to be able to manage these various situations.
It's over! Prohibition is over!
All right, that was Kobe Bryant's interview with Graham. That was good stuff. I was very impressed with Graham's questions and Kobe Bryant opening up, being very honest about what happened in his life about 10 years ago. And people have short attention spans or short memories, but that was a very intense time of basketball. Kobe Bryant was looking at about 25 years in prison, and there's still obviously skeptics if he was guilty or not. But there's certainly evidence to say he was innocent because the woman who accused him of rape, they found other semen basically on her body, so it's hard to say for sure what occurred. We're now going to we're going to change the politics for a moment. Hope everyone can bear with us here. And okay. I don't hear any ringing. Hopefully we'll get on in a moment. Okay, may have to try this again. Sorry if you can bear with us, please. Okay, we should be all right. There we go.
Hello?
Hi, Haston. This is Ari Louis. You're live on Louis Live on Israel Sports Radio. Thank you for joining us on this very sad day here in Israel. I wanted to kind of change gears in the program because we are broadcasting from Jerusalem, and I didn't want to disrespect what was going on by not talking about it. So can you give us the latest about the situation?
Yeah, the latest I heard on Israeli news about 30 minutes ago, you have 7 dead in the terror attack in Bulgaria on a bus. From what I understand, the majority of those who were on the bus were actually young people, teenagers who were on an organized trip from Israel to Bulgaria. I saw images on the internet of, what looked like what we're all too used to here in Israel of a terror attack, with a plume of smoke and a burnt-out bus. So it's a very sad day. And, once again, it's so ironic. I was talking on my radio show this morning about you can take any day of the year, because this is the 3 weeks right before the 9 days of the destruction of the temple. You can take any day of the year and find a bad thing that happens. It's actually the anniversary of the bombings in Argentina, which Iran were behind, and now it looks like even Netanyahu is pointing his finger at Iran again, and this time around.
Yeah, it is scary to think about that. This is during the 3 weeks, and I actually know of a good friend of mine that's going through a really tough situation, and it's kind of scary because we're told that these things happen in 3 weeks. We have to be very careful. If you're listening to this program, be very careful with whatever you do, traveling, anything, finances, anything. Be very careful during this time. Now, has any particular terrorist organization claimed responsibility for this at this point?
As of 9 o'clock p.m. This evening, just 30 minutes ago, there's not been any confirmation. Again, all signs point to Iran just by the fact that there were 5 or 6 other terror plots by Iran that were thwarted actually over the last over the last year or so, including in Thailand and in, I believe, in Cyprus and several other locations that were thwarted. So all the signs are pointing to a 100% deliberate attack on an Israeli target, Israelis traveling abroad in Bulgaria. So that's what it looks like. It looks like it's Iran, perhaps a proxy, maybe Hezbollah. But at the end of the day, if you're a Jew, if you're an Israeli, you're a target. And that's the way it's been for, 2,000 plus years, and nothing has changed. And as I wrote on my Facebook update today, we just try to be as safe as we can and try to survive. I mean, that's what we're trying to do as Jews. We have for so long, and we'll continue to do so, even while every once in a while we get a reminder of the hate out there against the Jewish people. This is an attack against Israel. This is an attack against Judaism. It's an attack against humanity, the Western world. But it's been like this, and nothing's going away. Final redemption, Ari. That's what it's all about. That's what we need to happen. Again, I'm usually not this deep, and I usually don't talk religion. I'd rather come on your show and do a bunch of voices or call my friends, come on and do voices. But not tonight, buddy.
Yeah,
situation.
Absolutely. It's what we need for sure is the final redemption. We need it right now. What I wanted to ask you was, is there any talk from IDF or other authority personnel, police, whatever, about some type of, I don't know what the correct word is, but an offense attack, if you will, to try to go after the people who supplied this terrorist, that type of thing? Any talks about that right now?
All I know is our Prime Minister has said we're going to catch the ones who did it, the perpetrators, and there will be justice. That's the Prime Minister himself said that. So I would expect some type of Israeli retaliation, whether it's who knows, in Lebanon or in Syria, or who knows, maybe this will lead to what ultimately has to be done, and that is disarm Iran. Iran is set to go nuclear. Who knows when? Could be within a matter of years or a matter of months. It's a very scary situation. So all sides are pointing towards Iran and their proxies, and Israel will have to deal with the terrorists wherever they are.
All right, now on a grander scale, are people concerned that this could potentially lead into a World War III? Because if you go against Iran, Lebanon, or these other countries, they could then start back with arms. So are people talking about this could lead to? People have talked about war for Iran for a few years now. Do you think this might be the trigger point?
I don't know about that, but eventually Israel, either with or without the support of the world community, has to do what it has to do, within its best interest. If that means attack Iran, I'm not saying we should do it, but I'm saying the world should respect, at least, especially the United States, should respect Israel's right to defend itself in whatever way, shape, or form that is. Will this specific incident lead to a war? I don't know. But as we know, Hezbollah has 40,000 rockets. Again, 40,000 rockets pointing at Israel from our northern border. We have Hamas with thousands of rockets in the south. We're surrounded, but what is the lesser of two evils is those rockets. Even if estimates say we may get 1,000 rockets a day, that's still better than a nuclear bomb. So Israel has to do what it has to do in order to take out any Iranian nuclear capability, and the world should respect Israel and Israel's right to defend itself, whatever options are on the table right now at the Defense Ministry and in the Prime Minister's office.
Wait, there are 40,000 rockets pointed at us?
40,000 rockets, maybe even more. I would speak. Yaakov Katz is my main contact. JPO's top IDS military correspondent, and I've seen the number at 40,000. I've seen it maybe, if I'm not mistaken, at 50,000. So that's the story, Ari. I actually have to run. I have to take off here. But if people want to, by tomorrow morning on my show, which is on Israel National Radio, called Reality Bites, 10 a.m. to noon, Israel time, I hope to have some experts on to talk about this attack if I can. If not, I'm sure by tomorrow we'll have more of a clear picture as to who is responsible and possibly even an Israeli retaliation at that time. So just keep it tuned into the news. Unfortunately, it's all sad music being played here in Israel on the air, but that's the way it always is when there's these types of attacks. So very sad evening indeed.
Yes, absolutely. But we certainly appreciate your time. And
no problem, Ari. Another time when things are lighter, I'll call all my friends and I know that Cletus misses you, and so does Borat, and so does Beavis and Butthead, and Granny, and the rest of them. So I'm sure they'll be more than willing to come on a more appropriate setting.
All right, man. Hopefully, we'll speak at better times.
Okay,
all right.
Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
That was Josh Hastine. We're going to take a quick break, and we may have a special guest on the other side. This is Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
This is Tamar Cass, and you're listening to Israel Sports Radio.
Shalom from the United States. I'm Gina Pitts.
Parrish Graham. Mike Pitts.
Roosevelt Hall.
Mike Roy.
We're your friends from the Pro Sports Lives radio show on WAFS Biz 1190 AM. You're listening to Louis Live.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Sports Drain Seat Seat, Compression Fit, UV Protection, Moisture Wicking, Anti-Odor, and Physique Enhancing. Certified by the Circle K. Sports Drain is a revolutionary seat garment that features high-performance properties and a compression fit, offering the wearer ultimate comfort and style for sports and everyday wear. Custom logos and team jerseys are available. For orders, please visit TamirGoodman.com. That's TamirGoodman.com.
Broadcasting live from Jerusalem, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Support Barak Netanya, Israeli professional basketball team, as they give back to the children of Netanya through Netanya Hoops for Kids. Netanya Hoops for Kids serves all of the children of Netanya, especially the ones that need us most. Through basketball clinics held by professional players, at-risk children learn life skills like teamwork, communication, discipline, and community responsibility from real-life heroes. Netanya Hoops for Kids partners with the municipality, schools, and local nonprofits to bring thousands of children to basketball games each season. Join us as a donor, partner, or fan. One city, one team, one family. www.netanyahoopsforkids.org.
The biggest names in sports are all on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJ Venom. DJing parties throughout Israel, birthday parties, weddings, club events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and much more. You pick the type of music, and DJ Venom will turn your event to the party of the year. Available Sunday through Thursday. Call 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. That's 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. Book your party today. That's DJ Venom.
Dimitri Salita, and you're listening to IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Building love of Israel, one sports fan at a time. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Back here on Lewis Live, we're a little bit behind with our commercials, so we're going to take another break. Stay tuned for more Lewis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
This is Tamar Cass, and you're listening to Israel Sports Radio.
Shalom from the United States. I'm Gina Pitts.
Parrish Graham. Mike Pitts.
Roosevelt Hall.
Mike Roy.
We're your friends from the Pro Sports Lives radio show on WAFS Biz 1190 AM. You're listening to Lewis Live.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Sports Strain CC, compression fit, UV protection, moisture wicking, anti-odor, and physique enhancing. Certified by the Circle K. Sports Strains is a revolutionary CC garment that features high-performance properties and a compression fit, offering the wearer ultimate comfort and style for sports and everyday wear. Custom logos and team jerseys are available. For orders, please visit TamirGoodman.com. That's TamirGoodman.com.
Broadcasting live from Jerusalem, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
In Depth with Grant Bensinger is brought to you by Lowe's. For all your home improvement needs, Lowe's. Never stop improving.
You mentioned Shaq. You guys obviously had a very, very successful working relationship. I mean, 3 consecutive titles, you know, what more could you ask for? But, yeah. I mean, nobody makes any secrets. There just wasn't the close relationship there that you might like with teammates. Why do you think you were unable to maintain that same working relationship for longer?
This just wasn't going to happen. It's just not. It's not in the cards. I mean, I wanted. There's things that I wanted to do with my career and take my career to another level that I was just incapable of doing as long as we were playing together, and which I was fine with doing until I heard him say a few times that, you know, Kobe's not going to be as successful without me, and, you know, this, that, and the other, and that kind of became the chatter. So now once that became the chatter, it's like, oh wait, whoa. No.
Especially for a guy who's hyper competitive.
It just wasn't going to work. So, you know, no matter what happened, even if we had won that championship, me being a free agent, there was just no way. I had to accept this challenge and had to see what I could do.
And you said in some ways part of the friction came from you both being very similar type of people. Yeah. In what ways?
Well, we're both alpha males, man. We both don't mess around. We don't beat around the bush, you know, and one of the big problems that he had with me is that I'm extremely brutally honest with my guys, you know, and it's just, you know, if a player's not working as hard as he should, I'm going to tell him. And, you know, and that includes somebody who's 7'3", 400 pounds.
How does a conversation like that go over?
Probably not the smartest thing in the world to do, but, you know.
Right.
It is what it is.
Right. Yeah. How does a conversation like that? I mean, do you?
I
don't
pull
talk to
any punches.
somebody like him the same way you would any other teammate?
Oh yeah, I don't pull any punches, man. And I think that's why it's such a great deal of respect still, from him to me and vice versa. Is that he knows what I'm about. He knows I'm not going to sugarcoat things, and I'm going to be straight up and honest about them.
So, like any professional athlete, I mean, everybody is criticized, and I think the more successful the athlete you are, the more criticism you receive. There, you said, early on, I read this is back from like your really young days in the league, that you were at the time confronted by veteran players over what they viewed as kind of selfish play on the basketball court. How much truth do you think there was to that then?
I think it probably was some to the extent of when I would decide to be aggressive and when, it was time to kind of more utilize my teammates, because I was full throttle all the time. And so, they would view that as selfishness, but the reality was just decision making of when to attack, when to pull back, when to trust your teammates, when to get this guy going, when to get that guy going, and then when to hit the throttle and attack. So I had to kind of figure out the balance of, the game, and then when to go and when not to go, because at 19, 20 years old, man, I was full throttle, man.
And what was that like for you, figuring out the balance of the game?
It was fun. I mean, it was a great challenge. And it's I think I was very fortunate to have to try to figure that out, because most of my peers never learned that because they didn't have to. They were on a team that was, happy to make it to playoffs, and that wasn't the situation I was in. They needed me to win a championship, and to do that, they needed me to figure out that balance and figure it out ASAP. And I think because of that, it made me a much better player.
What about figuring it out, do you think, made you a better player?
I had great coaching. Phil Jackson and Tex Winter, who I call Master Yoda.
And you called him even before Phil Jackson even came to coach.
Yeah, because I recognized his intelligence level, his genius. And I wanted to learn from him, and it just so happened he came and coached us the following year. And I had a chance to kind of really pick his brain and understand the game, and I think just my basketball IQ went to another level because of them.
And what was it you were trying to learn?
The momentums of the game, and when to use your teammates, and when to pick your spots, and how to pick them, and how to read the defense, to take advantage of certain situations and scenarios, and understanding the shot clock and the timing and all this other stuff. And I couldn't figure it out on my own. I mean, I was very, very, very fortunate to have Phil and Tex.
In Depth with Graham Bensinger is brought to you by Snickers. You're not you when you're hungry. Snickers satisfied.
The All-Star game, Kobe, that was billed as Kobe versus Michael, basically. Yeah, how about the part of that game that you really recall, or from that experience in general?
I remember being so tired before the game, because during that All-Star weekend, they had me doing so much. This event, that event, this interview, that interview, this party, that. There was so much going on.
Your face was plastered everywhere.
I was everywhere. And I was
right.
I was 19. 19. That I literally went to sleep in the middle of the locker room on the floor before the game.
Really?
I just like this. I just crashed out. Probably snoring. And I remember Clyde Drexler comes to me, taps me on my shoulder. Hey, we're about to go out there in like 5 minutes. Wake up, young fella. You okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. And he said, see, you're going to learn your lesson, man. You can't have them have you running around doing all these things all the time. You'll learn.
What about with MJ?
I remember him being sick. And so, I think he was sick during that weekend. I think he missed media day because of it. And when I checked in the game, I'm guarding him, I'm standing next to him, and he coughs. And I remember going, oh, man, cough that way. And he just started laughing. He was probably looking at me like, this kid is crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
How about the best advice you've ever gotten from him?
Probably the best advice was to be me. to be me. You know, he's faced a lot of criticism as well throughout his career about him shooting too much and being selfish and this, that, and the other. But he said, don't change who you are. Don't change who you are. Play your game, and everybody will adjust to that. But you have to be yourself.
And how did that resonate with you?
Well, it kind of gave me the feeling that I was on the right track, you know, because those were my thoughts and my feelings exactly. But you know, there are times where you kind of second guess yourself and like, well, maybe I need to change my game. Maybe I need to be more of a pass first type of a player, and you know, more of a magic type of a player, and this, that, and the other. You kind of start kind of thinking through things a little bit, and then for him to say that was like, okay, no, you're doing the right thing. You got it right.
Is there a point in your career where you've really had that doubt creep in the most, or when you started questioning if maybe you should change how you're doing something?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, quite often. I think it's human nature. I mean, as a young player coming up, we just continue to get swept, and you know, we just can't seem to get over the hump. It's like, man, am I costing my team, you know, the ability to win a championship?
Right.
You know, what do I need to do? You know, against the Celtics in 2008, I was like, man, I'm never going to win another championship. Or maybe everybody was right. Like, I can't win without Shaq. You know, it was like, this is my one opportunity, and I blew it. And then it's like, well, no, you can't. No, maybe you'll go down one day, but today's not going to be that day. And you just got to bounce back and just keep it going. You know, I remember when we, in 2010, when we played the Celtics, we lost Game 2. And I remember being very upset, very angry, very sad. And I drove around, before I came on, I literally just drove around for like 2 hours after the game, just trying to calm down and just trying to find that confidence. Because the Celtics, I mean, they were extremely tough to beat in Boston. And the series is tied at 1-1, and here we are going to Boston. We might not ever come back to L.A. So I remember just driving around for 2 hours, just trying to find something where I can hang my hat on for myself and for my team, and say, no, we're going to do this, and this is why we're going to do it, and this is how we're going to do it. But you know, I just drove around.
5 championships, obviously. How about the most satisfying victory of your career?
Game 7 against the Celtics. That was the most satisfying one, because that was the hardest one. I mean, we came back to L.A. from that series being down 3-2 against a great team, against 4 Hall of Famers. So that was Game 7 being down 15 points in the fourth quarter. That was a tough one.
If you could, is there a moment during your career that you would love to go back to, just to experience again?
I think going back to draft day. Going back to draft day. That was, I would love to kind of relive that moment and be 17 years old and going through that process.
What about it?
Just it being just a new thing for me. I mean, I was 17, and here I am with Allen Iverson and Marcus Camby and Ray Allen and Steve Nash and all these great players. And I'm a teenager, and I'm just kind of here for the ride.
Yeah. Would you still have the glasses on your head?
I didn't have the glasses on my head. Once I saw how foolish that looked, I took them off. But I was like, you know what? You're a teenager, man. What are you going to do? This is what teenagers do in '96.
Right.
How can you say you're in love with her?
Because I am.
But you just met her at the supermarket.
What can you possibly do together?
She gives me Snickers peanut butter squared, and I eat it.
It's Snickers with creamy peanut butter. Would you like one? Look, I don't care if she's your girlfriend. You're not taking her to the beach with us.
Hey, girl, you got a cooler for that?
In Depth with Grant Bensinger is brought to you by Lowe's. For all your home improvement needs, Lowe's. Never stop improving.
Phil Jackson, I had a chance to, read through his memoir, and obviously that was written.
Which one?
the last season.
Yeah.
That was written preceding, him returning to the Lakers. But I mean, at one point he apparently, says to the then Lakers GM, "Look, if Kobe's back next year, I'm not coming back."
Yeah.
Obviously, the relationship's since been repaired, but when it was kind of fractured the most, what were the factors you think were responsible for that?
I think that the most challenging things that for him in dealing with our group, he had a couple, and one of them being the dynamic between myself and Shaquille, and him having to deal with that relationship and kind of keeping me at arm's distance, so that in turn it could bring him closer to Shaq. And then the other thing, he's dealing with a young racehorse that wanted to get to an elite level as an individual player and establish himself in the league. So he had to deal with those, with that balancing act. And we both were extremely stubborn. All three of us. Phil's extremely stubborn, so was Shaq, and so am I. So, it was very, very difficult for him to find that balance. And I think he became frustrated because he couldn't figure out a way to really reach me. And
why do you think that was?
Well, because I told him, I said, Phil, if you want me to do something, just tell me. You don't have to go around the corner, drive around the block, and then kind of circle back around to your point and then kind of slide it in. Just tell me. Just tell me what it is you want me to do. And he kind of, I think that was a little different for him. He's not a guy that really likes confrontation. Mm-hmm. He kind of likes subtly slipping messages in there where, for me, it's just like, just tell me what it is you want. Don't insult my intelligence by trying to backdoor in there.
I'm starting to smile because I was shocked in his book. He said he was like seeing a therapist to talk about, just how to deal with that sort of team dynamic.
I mean, I was just like, just tell me.
How do you go about rebuilding a relationship like that, especially one that then goes on to have that much more success?
Well, you don't carry baggage with you. You have to drop it and let it go and move on. And once he decided to come back and he called me and we spoke, we didn't have to address any of the issues. We're both of the same belief that you move on from the past, and once you make the decision to move forward, that's exactly what you're doing, is moving forward, not addressing the past.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
This is Tamar Cass, and you're listening to Israel Sports Radio.
Shalom from the United States. I'm Gina Pitts.
Parrish Graham. Mike Pitts.
Roosevelt Hall.
Mike Roy.
We're your friends from the Pro Sports Lives radio show on WAFS Biz 1190 AM. You're listening to Louis Live.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Sports Drain Seat Seat, Compression Fit, UV Protection, Moisture Wicking, Anti-Odor, and Physique Enhancing. Certified by the Circle K. Sports Drains is a revolutionary seat seat garment that features high-performance properties and a compression fit, offering the wearer ultimate comfort and style for sports and everyday wear. Custom logos and team jerseys are available. For orders, please visit TamirGoodman.com. That's TamirGoodman.com.
Broadcasting live from Jerusalem, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Support Barak Netanya, Israeli professional basketball team, as they give back to the children of Netanya through Netanya Hoops for Kids. Netanya Hoops for Kids serves all of the children of Netanya, especially the ones that need us most. Through basketball clinics held by professional players, at-risk children learn life skills like teamwork, communication, discipline, and community responsibility from real-life heroes. Netanya Hoops for Kids partners with the municipality, schools, and local nonprofits to bring thousands of children to basketball games each season. Join us as a donor, partner, or fan. One city, one team, one family. www.netanyahoopsforkids.org.
The biggest names in sports are all on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJing parties throughout Israel, birthday parties, weddings, club events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and much more. You pick the type of music, and DJ Venom will turn your event to the party of the year. Available Sunday through Thursday. Call 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984 at yahoo.com. That's 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984 at yahoo.com. Book your party today. That's DJ Venom.
This is Dimitri Salita, and you're listening to IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Building love of Israel, one sports fan at a time. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Back here on Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. And our thanks to Graham Messenger for doing those interviews and very candid with Kobe Bryant. Those really entertaining stuff. So we certainly appreciate that. We're now going to dial up Jim Williams of the Washington Examiner, where he is on the ground regarding the RJ3 deal and, of course, the deal regarding Penn State. Will there be a death penalty? Will there not be one? So we'll get that in a moment. We thank you for staying with us here on Louis Live in the 10 o'clock hour. Reminder to check the store by clicking on the store tab on the website. Great items there for sale. Shipping is included in the price. Hats, T-shirts, candles, books, much, much more. Again, the store tab on IsraelSportsRadio.com. Thank you for joining us. In the first hour, we had Josh Hastings and USCG. And in the second hour, we hope to have Jim Williams and, of course, Neil Amrani.
Hello.
Hi, Jim. This is Ari Louis. You're live on Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. How you doing out there?
I'm fine, guys. How are you?
We're doing great. It's a pleasure to have you on, and let's jump right into it. There's apparently talk of Penn State getting the death penalty for the cover-up of the Sandusky scandal. I want to know, what do you think the odds of that happening, and do you think it's justified?
Whew. Geez, right after hello, we get this. Let's see. I would say this. If SMU can get the death penalty for, basically buying cars and giving players money, and USC can get close to the death penalty for the Reggie Bush situation, I don't think that college football, and this is the NCAA themselves said this, they're in uncharted territory here.
Right.
There's never been anything even close to this in the way of a scandal that has rocked the institution, and the cover up and the fact that it's gone way beyond football. So, do I think that they will get the death penalty? I'm not sure it's going to come quickly, but I believe that they will be sanctioned very severely. Now, whether that means a death penalty or not, I don't know. But I think that it will be a severe penalty. Is it justified? I don't think there's any question it's justified. I think that no matter whether you're a supporter of Joe Paterno's or a detractor of Joe Paterno's, or you believe the free report or you don't believe the free report, because there are still some blind people out there that will not believe that in any way, shape, or form that Joe Paterno had anything to do with this. Even if Joe Paterno, let's even take to the side of the Paterno supporters. If you believe that Joe didn't know anything about Jerry Sandusky, you still had to know that Joe knew that Jerry was doing something he shouldn't have been doing, regardless of what it was. And for him to enable Jerry to keep an office in the building, literally within walking distance of his office for as long as he did, that's unforgivable as well. Ignorance is not an excuse.
Absolutely.
So, go ahead.
No, just saying, I agree with you. Absolutely.
So I don't know if they'll get the death penalty. I think they'll get a very severe sanctioning. Do they deserve it? I think there's no question that they do.
All right, what would have to take as far as process-wise for Penn State to get the death penalty?
Well, it's really the death penalty. I know a lot of people are out there going, well, what the death penalty simply puts you. It takes away your football program or basketball program or whatever program that happens to get it. It basically takes it away for a year. In other words, there's no scholarships. There's nothing. Football does not exist for a year. And after that, you have to rebuild your goodwill with the NCAA, and then they build back the amount of scholarships that you're allowed to have. And they basically, for all intents and purposes, you're on some sort of probationary term for a minimum of 2 to 3 years. And so it just depends on. Now what, if those who recall or may not recall, the last major death penalty was to SMU, and what they did is once they went on the death penalty, the money dried up at SMU. SMU was a much smaller institution, obviously, just minute in comparison to Penn State, as large an institution as Penn State is. So once the money dried up at SMU, they felt it best to, for all intents and purposes, do away with the football program, or at least move it down. I think at one point it went down to Division 1AA or even Division 2. So because, again, SMU was much smaller, it's a small private school as opposed to Penn State. We're kind of in uncharted territory because there really hasn't been a university the size of Penn State or with the visibility of Penn State that ever's gotten the death penalty. So other institutions have come close, but this is where we are, up there. So for all intents and purposes, Penn State would be out of the football business for a year, and then there would be a decision as to how incrementally, scholarship-wise, eligibility-wise for bowls and championships and other situations they would be moving forward.
All right, and we talked about uncharted territory, and it is rare for a school to get the death penalty, although it has happened. Criminal-wise, what other charges can be handed out? Are the president, vice president, could they be looking at criminal charges because they were part of this cover-up?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, to a great extent, I think the NCAA wanted to let the criminal aspect of this play out. Because the free report, you have to remember that the free report was asked for as an internal investigation by Penn State University. Okay? So I have great respect for former Federal Bureau of Investigation Director Louis Freeh. And he had tremendous access to papers, and certainly Penn State wanted this to be as transparent an investigation as there possibly could be. And they didn't. Penn State got whacked themselves from Freeh in explaining that, frankly, they didn't have the paperwork necessary to work on the even to come up to some of the codes that they needed to have as early as last year. So, I mean, clearly, Penn State, if they were asking for, if people expected this to be a whitewash in such a way that Penn State got out of it looking like that the board didn't do anything, that certainly wasn't the case. I mean, they clearly were, Freeh took a shot at everybody in the institution, including the Board of Trustees. But to your point, which is the one having to do with what comes up next, with there's at least 2 trials pending, and that would be the trial of the former president of the university and the trial of the former athletic director of the university. And I think that if they had the choice, and given their druthers, that the NCAA would like to see, how these criminal cases went with the president and with the athletic director to see, how much more ammunition, if you will, they would have to help their case, meaning making whatever it is that they would do to Penn State stick strongly with the backing of saying, look, this is what went through. Forget the Sandusky situation for the moment. We also have the former athletic director engaged in a cover-up. We have the Freeh report, which says that the athletic director the assistant athletic director, the president of the university, and the coach were all involved in this. And then if Grant Spanier, who used to be the president of the university, were implicated as well, well then, that would pretty much be, you'd have three major cases that would substantiate anything that the NCAA would want to do. So I think that while people are wanting some sort of rush to get this thing done, I think that what the NCAA is looking at is, we want to do it. We want to do something. We're certainly going to do something, but it's a lot easier to do it if we let the judicial system play out a bit, which gives them, frankly, it gives them cover, number one. And number two, I think it's important that if you're going to do this properly, you do it right, and that is to let the judicial system, work its way through.
And
it may not be the popular way,
right?
But it is probably the most prudent way.
And now Joe Paterno's face is all over that university. I believe they have a statue in somewhere. Have they talked about if they're going to take that down or not? And if so, what has been the response of the student body?
Well, there's been a whole bunch. There's been a number of calls to tear the statue down. There's been a number of. There was an erroneous report given out yesterday that the Board of Trustees voted to keep the statue. The statue is a statue at Beaver Stadium on the campus of Penn State University that you would pass if you were going through the gates to get into the stadium. Not every gate would have. Obviously, you don't pass it at every gate, but it has a prominent place at the at the school. The statue, at present, the university has said that they are tabling doing anything with the statue at this point in time, and that they will decide what to do with the statue, if anything, in due course. They're basically saying that they're going to take a month or two to figure out what to do with it. Now, it's very difficult, and this is something that people outside the Penn State community, it's very difficult for them to come to understand that the diversity of the situation. Joe Paterno was a very loved personality in central Pennsylvania. He was a very charitable man. He was a man who did a tremendous amount for his players and for the university. Clearly, in the Sandusky situation, there's no way to explain away that Paterno's covering up, if indeed that was the case, and it certainly looks as if it was, that he covered it up. So there's no way to explain away that. So my guess is, and this is purely a guess, given my conversations with a number of alumni at Penn State who do not want to throw away the good of what Joe Paterno did, that there will be some sort of situation by which Penn State will give the statue to a group who will take the statue and place it at a park or at some sort of protected area, not on campus, but in the State College area, where those fans and supporters of Joe Paterno will be able to visit it, and they'll approach it from that standpoint. I don't think you're going to see somebody taking a wrecking ball to the statue of Joe Paterno. I think that, frankly, I think that would be wrong. I think that, look, I'm not explaining away or even attempting to explain away what Joe Paterno did in hiding the horrific crimes of Jerry Sandusky. I'm also saying, though, that Joe Paterno did a great deal of good for the university. So if there are supporters of his who want to take it upon themselves to take that statue and place it somewhere on their own private property, then perhaps that would be the way to approach it, as opposed to leaving it on ground right outside of Beaver Stadium, because I'm quite sure that Penn State wants to get rid of this, situation as best they can, and cleansing themselves of that by taking, the Paterno statue and moving it would probably be a wise move on their part. But I don't think they want to act in a knee-jerk situation. I think they want to think their way through this before doing it. And remember that a sizable portion of that board is not convinced that moving that statue anywhere is a wise thing to do.
Right, absolutely. So we've certainly talked about this. There'll be more to talk about. More information is going to come out over and over about this Sandusky case. But let's go to something a little bit lighter, because we start off this segment pretty hard. RG3 signs a 4-year deal with the Skins, $21 million guaranteed. What are your thoughts about the deal for the second pick overall?
It was a good deal. Actually, it's $21 million, $13 million is guaranteed.
13 is guaranteed. Okay.
It really doesn't matter at that point. I mean, I think it's a good deal. I mean, I think these new rookie contracts are much smarter and far more in line with someone who's never touched a football, in an NFL uniform yet. And I think that all of the ones from the Andrew Luck contract to the Robert Griffin III contract, they're all good contracts, both for the player as well for the team. I think that certainly RG3 is going to add a dimension to the Redskins that they never had, and I think he's going to be a very entertaining player for fans of the NFL to watch. I mean, just like Cam Newton was in his first year at Carolina, I would say that Robert Griffin III's offensive mates on his side of the ball are better than what Cam had to deal with when he went to Carolina. So it might be a little easier for Robert Griffin III to have some success right out of the box than it was for Cam to have success at Carolina. But I think it's a good thing for both the league as well as, obviously, for the Redskins.
All right, now let's go to the Dwight Howard sweepstakes. We had Yossi G on in the first hour, and he made a joke that 2 years ago was about the decision. This summer has been about the indecision of Dwight Howard and the management to get this trade done. It looked like he was going to the Brooklyn Nets with the deal with the Cavs. That didn't work out. Now there's strong talk he's going to go to Los Angeles. What do you think the odds of that happening, and by when could Howard be an L.A. Laker?
I think there's a very good chance of him going to Los Angeles because it's much easier to do a 2-team deal than it is to do a 3-team deal. That said, I don't think there's any rush at this point that they get it done. I think they just need to come through with the players that Miami needs to get back in return. I think it's, I do believe if he goes anywhere, I think it's going to be Los Angeles. Obviously, he wants to go somewhere, and certainly Los Angeles can use him in the center position. And I think that Dwight Howard on the Lakers would be a pretty powerful force. So I think that he's likely to go to the Lakers. Timetable, probably a week to 10 days, maybe less if they can tighten things up a bit. But I'm not sure that they're in any rush at this particular point in time, especially, perhaps they may want to get it done before the Olympics begin, and if that's the case, then we'll see it done within the next week to 10 days.
Wow, week to 10 days, Dwight Howard could be playing with Kobe Bryant and Steve Nash, or on the team with him.
Could be fun.
Yeah, that would be really something. They and OKC would be the two teams.
Now remember, it takes two to play this game.
Right.
Orlando wants a king's ransom, and we're going to have to find out just whether or not Los Angeles is willing to pay it. They seem to be. So if Los Angeles, I'm saying at this point, I think that they're the most likely partners in this deal, and because it's a 2-team deal, I think that it would likely get done quicker than that kind of convoluted 3-team deal that tried to get him to Brooklyn.
Right. So it is interesting how much the Magic could get from L.A. And how much would be worth for Dwight Howard. And we talked about this with Yossi G. If Kobe Bryant's going to retire in 2 years, then Dwight Howard could be the face of the franchise possibly afterwards. Could that happen?
Well, yeah, I would think so because, Steve Nash is not going to play, much longer than 2 years himself. So if Kobe holds to this thing of saying he wants to retire when he's 35, then or 36, either one, then Dwight Howard is sitting in the Staples Center, and he would certainly be the face of the Lakers.
Now it's interesting. Also, basketball with Jeremy Lin goes to the Rockets. Why do you think at the end of the day did Houston take on Jeremy Lin?
Well, they need a point guard. The irony is that they paid Jeremy Lin. They had Jeremy Lin. Jeremy Lin was one of their D-League guys, and they paid Jeremy Lin the sum total of a little over $5,500 in his tenure as a Houston Rocket before he, started his sojourn that ended him up in New York. And now he's getting $15 million. Wasn't that the deal?
I believe
something like 15.
Somewhere there, I believe close to that. Yes.
Yeah, it's 15 or 17. So it pays to have a good. It pays to have a good 4 months or 5 months in New York because clearly, that $5,000 that he was paid by the Rockets before was something that was multiplied tremendously when he headed back to Houston after that short stint with the Knicks. But Mike D'Antoni said something interesting yesterday, just after the USA Brazil basketball game here in Washington, and Mike was saying that he was surprised that the Knicks didn't do a matching offer for Jeremy Lin. He thought that that Jeremy Lin would be would continue to be a good fit for the Knicks team, and he thought that letting him go to Houston was perhaps something that the Knicks would regret over the long term.
All right, and last question before we let you go. Kobe Bryant did some interesting interviews with Graham Bessinger, talked about his relationship with Shaquille O'Neal, Phil Jackson, and the sexual assault case of 2003. We know Ray Lewis did an interview about his murder charge about a year and a half ago. Why do you think Kobe Bryant is talking about all these things 9-10 years after this all happened?
Well, I think Kobe wants to be in charge of the narrative of who he is and what he is, he's about, and basically be in control of the Kobe Bryant brand, if you will. And I think that he thought that too many people were defining him, so perhaps this was a good time for him to sit down and take the opportunity to define himself. So if I had to guess, I would think that would be the way he wanted it to go. And I think that, like most major athletes, LeBron James, we were talking about earlier about the decision. I mean, I think that everybody wants their own spin on, what makes them tick. And I think that in Kobe Bryant's situation at this point, he wants the story told in his narrative as opposed to having it told by somebody else.
Right. It's a great way to have control over it. And, of course, Kobe Bryant is in the top 5 of money-making athletes most years, not just because of his NBA salary, but endorsements, which are.
Well, and he also picked a respected, journalist to do it with.
Right.
And I
absolutely.
think that's the key too. I mean, it's one thing to sit down and just, grab somebody off the LA Times and say, "Here, do this," but he picked somebody who is well respected, who's not going to just write something for Kobe because Kobe, graced him with his presence. He's going to, I think that is also critical. When you see these things written by, about the athletes, knowing who wrote them and the credibility of that journalist is critical. And in this particular case, I don't think there's anybody who would in any way, shape, or form question, this piece. And I think that's really a very strong way that Kobe wanted to get it out there.
All right. Well, Jim, it's certainly a pleasure having you on Louis Live and IsraelSportsRadio.com. We certainly thank you for your time.
Always a pleasure.
And we'll do it again next week.
Indeed. Take care, guys.
All right. Be well.
Bye-bye.
All right. That was Jim Williams of the Washington Examiner. And what we're going to do right now, because I'm just kind of in the mood to do this, we're going to play some more Kobe Bryant stuff. I love it. So let's go to Kobe Bryant. He's going to talk about what it takes to be great. And afterwards, we're going to have Neil Amrani here at Louis Live on Israel SportsRadio.com. Remind everyone to check out our store by going on the store tab on the homepage.
With Graham Bensinger is brought to you by Lowe's. For all your home improvement needs, Lowe's. Never stop improving.
One of your high school friends said, when I was partying, he was playing basketball. When I was waking up, Kobe was playing basketball before class. How would you describe your dedication to the sport even back then?
Well, I tried to find a balance, right? I tried to do both. I had a great deal of energy. So if there was a school party going on or something like that, I'd play basketball for a few hours. I'd do what I have to do and have fun doing it. And then I'd go to the party. And I'd show up, I'd have a good time, have fun, and I'd be up at 5 o'clock in the morning, working out and, training the next day. So I try to do both.
Whether it be then or now, to what extent have you found yourself over the years having to forego hobbies, even in some instances, close friendships to focus on basketball?
Yeah, well, there's obviously, a great amount of sacrifice because it is time consuming, and you do have to really focus on your craft a great deal.
And do you realize it when you're going through it, or because you're so focused on what you want to do, you're just kind of oblivious to some of it?
It was probably different for me than most because it was it's what I truly wanted to do. It's what I enjoyed doing. So it wasn't like I didn't feel like I was giving something up. I felt like I was gaining something because I enjoyed playing.
Coach K says you've really changed your workouts over the years. As you've aged, you've changed the regimen. Mm-hmm. You've been innovative in many respects. In what ways?
Well, you have to evolve. So like the things I was doing when I was 19 years old to prepare and to train, in terms of the explosiveness, the impact that I would put on my body, the stress levels I put on my body to train and prepare. I can't do the same things now at 33 years old because it'd just be counterproductive. So you kind of have to evolve and do some cross training.
And how much of a difference do you notice between what you were able to do then and what you're able to do now?
Well, I could.
Is it glaring?
When it becomes glaring is when you have practice in the morning. It's like a 10 a.m. practice, and you show up to practice, and you kind of look up at the basket, and you're going, yeah, I probably could dunk right now.
Right.
Yeah, because your body's just kind of tight and kind of hurt and stuff. When you're 19, you go up and you're just like, oh, that basket looks like it's about this high. You just wake up out of the bed and you start doing 360s and windmilling and stuff. And not doing that anymore.
Yeah. What's the average workout schedule like, whether you're in season or out of season?
In season, we practice about 3 hours a day as a team, and then I do about my hour and a half of weights and extra work. In the off season, right now I'm going about 2 hours a day, and then it kind of picks up progressively as the summer goes on. I start adding more features.
How many shots do you think you take over the course of a summer?
Let's see. Last summer I probably was taking between 600 and 800 makes a day. In the past it was between 1,000 to about 1,500 makes a day.
And why the decline?
Because of my body.
Because of your body.
You can't take that much of a workload. You got to try to balance it out.
How would you explain that mindset of just trying to continuously improve?
I enjoy what I do. This is fun for me. I truly love what I do, and that's where the passion comes from. That's where the will to get better comes from. It's just because I truly enjoy it. I enjoy the preparation.
As a kid, explain why you would study bubblegum basketball cards.
Well, because you could kind of see the little intricacies of each move, and You know, is his toe pointing a little this way? Is it this way when he's pivoting? So it's just little things like that. You know, body positioning, defensive stance. You know, where the weight is on the defensive player. You know, where the player's head is when he's shooting a basketball. You can kind of see all those little details.
And why were you looking for that?
Because I was a nerd.
Your high school coach, Greg Donner, it says that you might actually be a little embarrassed by how much you love basketball.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Probably, yeah. I mean, it's
Why?
just like, it's like anything. You know, I just so happen to be playing basketball. Like if I was a computer kid, you know, in high school, people would have probably made fun of me. You know what I mean? And it just so happened to be basketball, what I'm passionate about, and my passion knows no bounds.
But it embarrasses you?
Well, I mean, it's just a little weird, a little strange. I mean, when you're around, like in the Olympics, I'm around other athletes who kind of share that same mindset. It's fun to be around them because you can have conversations about those things.
Robert Ory says he's never seen somebody who can see a move another guy does and pick it up as quickly as you. Explain what you'll do.
Well, I know exactly what he's referring to. I mean, I watched, we played against the Houston Rockets, and I was still a young kid. He was 18, 19 years old. And I'm watching Hakeem Olajuwon up close, and he's doing his dream shake. And I'm just kind of watching. And I asked Robert, hey, Robert, how did Hakeem used to practice that move? Because they played together and won a couple championships together. So Robert kind of went through, you know, how he watched Hakeem practice and stuff like that. And then the next practice, I go right to the post and I start doing a dream shake and mimicking that exact move.
Why do you think you were able to pick it up so quickly?
Because I've been playing since I was 2. So, like, you know, every move I've
But I mean,
tried.
There are plenty of basketball players who've been playing a long time.
Yeah, not since 2 though, and that's for as long as I have. Like from the age of 2 to like 33, I've played hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. So like, you know, just by osmosis, you pick up so many things in your muscle memory is that you can watch something and just go out right away and do it.
All right, we're here on Louis Live. We're going to dial up our final guest of the evening, and we've had a great show so far. Thanks to Jim Williams, Josh Hastings, and Yossi G. Appreciate them coming on and breaking down things in sports. Of course, Josh Hastings more on the terrorist situation. Our thoughts and prayers with everyone who was affected by the terrorist attack, and hopefully they will catch the perpetrators who are responsible for everything, the organizations. Let's dial up our final guest right now. We're going to talk a little everything, really. It's Neil and Ronnie coming up. By the way, I want to remind everyone to check out the store tab by clicking on, I want to remind everyone to check out the store by clicking on the store tab of IsraelSportsRadio.com. Great items, T-shirts, hats, and much, much more. Again, click on the store tab on Israel Sports Radio. Hi, Neil. You're live on Louis Live on Israel Sports Radio. How you doing out there?
Hello.
Hi, can I speak with Neil, please?
Yeah, who is it?
This is Ari Louis from Israel Sports Radio.
Okay, 1 second. Ari Louis from Israel Sports Radio.
Hey, Ari.
Hi, Neil. You're live on Louis Live on Israel Sports Radio. How you doing out there?
I'm great. How are you today?
Great. It was wonderful seeing your daughter practice with the national team on Monday. When do they go out for their tournament? What date is that?
They actually leave Sunday, very early in the morning, the 22nd. There is a group of girls that are going, they're doing a 14-team tournament in Holland, and they'll come back on the 29th. But what's nice is, from Holland, many of the girls are going to the U.S. for the Maccabi games. My daughter's actually going to come home and then go out on the 3rd. And some of the team they're actually going to Houston. So there's a lot of activity, a lot of tournaments going on for the girls. It's just great for them and great for the country. And by the way, I got an update. The Israeli national team, 15 and 16-year-old boys, 14 and 15-year-old boys, are in the semifinals in a tournament at Cooperstown.
Oh, wow. Oh,
so
wow.
They're
Okay.
doing very well. There was an article in the Jerusalem Post about them, I believe, today.
Okay. Okay, great. So good stuff there. We certainly hope continued success, because it helps Israel be more on the map in the sports world when these type of things occur. Correct?
Absolutely. I think first of all, they go as ambassadors for the country, and just from the article and just from the emails that I've seen today about the boys that are in Cooperstown, the other teams are actually rooting for the Israeli boys. Nice hit, Yoav, way to go, Yankel. You know what I mean? They're really cheering, and they're just getting along great with everybody. And it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful way to be a brand ambassador for the state of Israel.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really enjoyed it. There was something very fun about watching a baseball practice. Remind me to my youth, so it was good stuff. Now, talk about the professionals. CC comes back from the DL and gets the win. I believe no earned runs against the Blue Jays. What do you think about Sabathia's performance?
Listen, you know what? He's a warm weather pitcher, and the hotter it is, the better his arm is, which means his arm is getting loose. I think it'll only help the Yanks. There's a lot of people talking that the Yanks obviously are built for the regular season and not built for the playoffs. But I have to tell you something. People are neglecting, regardless that he got shelved last time out, Ivan Nova is proving to be a winning pitcher at the major league level after a year and a half. He's making himself as one of the premier pitchers in the league at a very young age. And I think he's only going to develop. Hughes has come back a little bit. And they're getting a workmanlike performance from Garcia. So they'll be around. They'll be around. I don't know if their pitching will hold up, but they'll be around long enough. They've built up a nice lead right now, and I don't foresee that changing. CC, I think, is just a plus.
Is there a team in the East that maybe you're scared of, or two teams that you wouldn't want them to get the wild card?
Tampa Bay really worries me. I'm not really worried about the Red Sox. Tampa Bay they're just young and aggressive, and I don't think that they're going to be out of it. I think that come late August, September, they're going to be right in the thick of it. That's the team in the East that I'm concerned about.
All right, we'll go back to baseball, but just a quick question before I forget. The Dwight Howard sweepstakes, I believe when we had you on, we thought it was pretty close to the Brooklyn Nets. Now it looks like the Lakers are the front runners to get Superman. What do you think about that situation, and how close are we to seeing Dwight Howard in a Lakers uniform?
Don't you find that kind of hard to believe, right?
It's crazy.
They go out and get Nash, and now they may swing a deal for Howard. I think they're going to have to bring a third team in. But the bottom line is it'll be a great coup for them. And, I still wish the Nets would have gotten them. I think it would have been great for Brooklyn. But it's not a bad second choice to go out to L.A. and play with Kobe and Nash and make one good run. Maybe Nash has 2 years. But I think it's an amazing pull-off if they get him. I'll tell you something. My son this morning told me, how do the Lakers manage this under the salary cap? It reminds me of, the Redskins when Snyder was signing all those free agents years ago. How is he doing it and staying under the cap? So they have to be very creative, and I'm sure they'll be able to work it, and they'll probably trade Bynum in this deal. They have to. What are they going to do? They're going to have to keep them both on the team?
Right. No, great point. I think that's Biden's been in trade talks since he was 18 years old. Biden for kid, I believe the Lakers turned down, and this time I don't think you can let it go. Biden's got a tremendous amount of potential, but he's no Dwight Howard, and I think that's the way it's got to be. Quick basketball question. Knicks decide not to bring back Jeremy Lin. Houston picks them up. Tell us from a New York Knicks perspective, why would you not want to have Jeremy Lin back on your team?
$14.5 million in the last year, bottom line.
That was the final thing.
That's
okay.
It. Is Jeremy Lin going to be worth $14.5 million at the end of the contract? I just don't think so. I think it's a good move by the Knicks. I think that it opens up the possibility that they'll be able to go after Paul when he's a free agent, and that's where I think they're going with it. I think it's a good move. The fact once they got Felton, no doubt in my mind that they were going to, get rid of Lin.
All right, and we're speaking with Neil Arani here on Louis Live and Israel Sports Radio. Going back to the baseball scene, Mets 46-44, 2 games over 500, 7 back of the Nationals. We've seen at the All-Star break before a 9-game lead come back, but 7 games is still not likely. What do you think of the Mets' chances to chase down the Nationals, or do they, at this point, just have to focus and get one of the wild cards?
Right now, I think the Mets have to focus on winning a game. They came out of the All-Star break, not playing too well, dropping 4 in a row. I think let them get a game. They played much better than people expected. They're a young team. They've gotten some great pitching with a lot of no-names, including Dickey. Can they maintain it? I don't know. But, they're going to be shooting for a wild card. I like what I'm seeing from the Nationals. I thought that was a wild finish between the Mets and the Nats last night.
Oh, yeah, the wild pitch, yeah.
I'm sure if Andy saw the game, he enjoyed it. But bottom line, it was just, the Mets have to just keep doing what they're doing. They have to play fundamental baseball, get timely hitting, win series, and hopefully they'll be around. But do I think they'll make it? In the long run, no. But I'm very surprised by this season and pleased for their fans. If they can hang in, maybe they can draw some people to Citi Field.
All right, now staying with the National League East, Chipper Jones came out and says the Braves have to add pitching to compete with the Nationals in the National League East. This is Chipper's final season. Do you think the Braves go out and make that move and try to get Chipper one more shot at a title?
That's a great question. Let me ask you. Let me flip the question to you.
Okay.
If Chipper were on the Cardinals and you were in the position of the Braves right now, would you let an aging player dictate what you're going to be doing for the next year or two?
Great point. I wouldn't want to mortgage the future just to get my aging player one. Let's say it was Ozzie Smith. Well, I don't know if it's Ozzie. See, I know Chipper has a pull of an Ozzie Smith, but let's say if it was Ozzie, I'd want to get him in the ring, but I wouldn't want to mortgage the future, especially 5 or 10 years down the road. But I would like to make some type of move to get my player one more shot. I think the Braves should do something. I don't know if they should go crazy.
Listen, obviously they're a buyer. They're not a seller right now. They may do something. Will they get a frontline pitcher? I'm not sure about that. But right now there are so many teams that are on the cusp. There are so many teams in the wild card. Do the Pirates become a buyer or a seller? They're not. They're still in this race. They haven't been in this race for years. So the teams that are normally sellers, selling their young prospects or selling their front line because they don't want to pay them next year, are still in it. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting time at the trade deadline, and I really believe that Chipper's looking out for Chipper. He wants to go out a winner.
Yeah, absolutely. There's certainly no doubt about that. All right, now one of the things also interesting, kind of a scary thing, especially with happened in Israel, but there was a bomb threat in Detroit regarding the games that the Angels and Tigers played in. They played through. If you're a fan of the game, if there's a bomb threat, let's say, God forbid, at Shea Stadium, where the Mets play Citi Field or Yankee Stadium, would you feel comfortable with the game going on, or would you want them to stop the game and be on the safe side?
Listen, I'm going to answer that in two ways. First of all, we can't let terror stop our daily life.
Right, true.
And how do we know that? Today, obviously, I'm sure you heard about the bombing in Bulgaria, killing so far 7 Israelis on a bus. My daughter is leaving Sunday morning to represent Israel with about 50 people. Does that mean I don't send her, or the parents don't send their kids, or the coaches don't go? You have to decide whether or not you feel that that someone is looking over you, and there's a reason for it. So, should they stop the game? Unless it was extremely credible and they had hard evidence, maybe I'm a little bit of a gambler. I say you got to play. You've got to show these people that they can't disrupt your daily life. Period.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. And I'm happy they did it. They might get some flack for playing the game through, but I think you got to play it and kind of show the terrorists you're not going to be scared with them. Interesting story. Pete Rose is going to have a reality show, former guest here on Louis Live with the TLC Network. What are your thoughts about Charlie Hustle, the Major League Baseball all-time hit king, having a reality show?
Well, TLC is the Learning Channel, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
What a better place to learn about Pete Rose. Listen, Pete Rose, bottom line, is desperate for cash. Pete Rose has got a deal. He's going to have people that look in. Do I think it's going to last? I don't think so. He's kind of out of sight, out of mind. He is the all-time hit leader, but I don't think I'd spend more than 2 minutes watching him on a reality show to see what's he doing, getting in a car, going where, to do what. It doesn't interest me, and I just don't think it'll pan out. That's my own opinion. But I do have a question for you, though.
Sure.
I'd like to know a little bit about this roast.
Oh. Yeah, I think we're bringing
going
up. We're going to have a comedy roast making fun of myself Sunday night at Off the Wall Comedy Club at 9 p.m. It's at King George and Ben Yehuda here in Jerusalem, downtown Jerusalem. And usually it's on my birthday, but Andy, of course, wasn't in Israel, and I wanted him to come, so I pushed it off to the summer. So, of course, you're invited to come. The way it works, people are going to come on stage and make fun of me, and then at the end, I get to make fun of everybody else. So, are you going to be able to come?
I may just have to.
Okay.
I'd like to come. I'll talk to you offline about that.
Okay.
But the bottom line is I think it's great, and I think it's a way to have fun and to involve your fans and your listeners. And you do a wonderful job. And you know what? As far as I'm concerned, you are the sports guru here in Israel. Bottom line, nobody else.
Thank you, and I might have to use that as a promo. I hope I have your permission.
You absolutely do.
All right.
Maybe Biggie will say something else, but I'm going to tell you. You're the man.
I'm going to try to get Biggie also to cover the roast. I think he's busy working, but hopefully he can get some time off because he came to my roast last year. It was a lot of fun. He made fun of me. I had a quick line. I said, "There's a reason why they call you Big Mike and not Big Brains." That was my line towards him. So,
listen, if you can't have fun, especially on your birthday, and then talking sports, what else is there? You know?
Yeah, no,
that's the great thing. Hey, let me ask you something.
Sure.
How do you feel about the Brooklyn Nets this year?
They're going to make some noise. I mean, if they would have got Dwight Howard, I think they could have been top 4, top 5. I'm a little nervous they can get him. Jerome Williams was there already, and now you're going to add Joe Johnson, who's a great scorer. He can create his own shot. I still see them as a 7 or 8 seed, though. I think they'll make a little noise if they can get that far, but I don't. I mean, they're not going to the semifinals or conference finals or anything like that. Those are my thoughts about the Nets.
You know, I think it's a great thing that they did. I think they're trying to juice up Brooklyn. Brooklyn fans are incredible fans. They're going to be loyal to them, and it's going to be a very, very interesting season for them. You know, I think they're going to draw well, the novelty factor. They're going to sell a lot of merchandise, and it's going to be a wonderful thing for the city of New York. And I think, really, it's going to be a much better rivalry than Clippers-Lakers. You know, it's going to be a very, very good rivalry.
Absolutely. I think people will be really into this, and Brooklyn is just I'll say it, even though I'm not in New York, it's a great city, a big hotbed of sports. I think people will be very pumped and into it. You're going to get a lot, I think, of different fans. You'll get kind of the high-class aristocrats who want to check out the game. You'll get the hardcore fan who maybe is in middle class. I mean, it's going to draw everyone. Where they were in Newark, you know, as you know, it was just kind of this fancy suburb where they didn't really care. They were desperate to get rid of tickets. They had unemployment night and homeless night and all this kind of stuff. And you're going to have hardcore fans go to these games. I don't know how good the team will be, but I think the fans will be very good. Now, before we let you go, I want to talk some Kobe Bryant with you. Came out with this interesting interview with Graham Bessinger talking about the sexual assault case in 2003, stuff with Shaquille O'Neal's relationship with him and his relationship with Phil Jackson. Why do you think Kobe Bryant is coming out and talking about things that have happened 9 or 10 years ago?
You know what? That's a great question. Superstars have to always be in the limelight. And they always have to feel like they are the important one, the cog in the machine, the battery that lights the bulb. Kobe is, you know, there's no reason for him to be making these comments at this point. He's in the twilight of his career. He's trying to grab one more championship. His skills will start to diminish. And the bottom line is, what does he need to even be bothered with this? Why is he instigating this? So the truth of the matter is, Shaquille O'Neal was a great player in his day, well-deserving of the championships that he had. Kobe needed Shaq. Shaq needed Kobe. You know, I just don't understand these type of. I don't understand these type of things. There's just no reason for it, and I'll always revert back to Derek Jeter. You may not think he's the best shortstop in the world, but the truth is he plays with dignity. He never embarrasses his coach or his players. He never embarrasses himself. And you know what? To me, that's a player. That's a superstar athlete that kids can actually look up to. Hasn't taken steroids. Doesn't open his mouth. You know, I mean, even though it's two different sports, you just can't compare the same athlete. There's no way that Kobe should be bad-mouthing anybody at this point. Play the game. You got a new point guard. You got a shot. Worry about the season. I don't know about your thoughts, but that's how I feel.
I agree. I thought it was weird when he did it. I thought it was weird when Ray Lewis did it about a year and a half ago, talking about the Burger case. I mean, people kind of have moved on, whether they should or should not, and you bring it back up, makes you think about it again. It makes you also a little suspicious. So I didn't understand exactly why he did it. I did think it was entertaining. I mean, I played the clips on this program, but I still didn't exactly understand it. All right, Neil, we're going to let you go, but you can talk to me on chat about the roast if you have any questions. We'd love for you to come. Hopefully Biggie can come. Everyone listening to this program is welcome to come. It's this Sunday night at 9 p.m. at Off the Wall Comedy Basement. King George and Ben Yehuda at New York. Neil Amrani, thank you for being on Louis Live on Israel Sports Radio.
Thank you, Ari. Good night. Have a great night.
All right, Lana Tov. Be well.
Bye-bye.
All right, what we do is we're going to play another Kobe Bryant clip because I'm just really into it so much. I don't know what to say exactly. So let's see what clip we're going to play. There's a talk about him retiring soon. He is, I believe, 35, coming up in about a month. So he's going to address that issue, and then we'll wrap up the program. It's Louis Live, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
In Depth with Graham Bensinger is brought to you by Snickers. You're not you when you're hungry. Snickers satisfied.
There was a quote that when I read it, I figured I had to bring this up. During your first year with the Lakers, you said, quote, "When I'm 35 years old, I'm not going to be in the league. By then, I'll be relaxing with my family overseas somewhere."
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that now?
Still probably accurate.
Really?
Still probably accurate.
Why do you say that?
Well, I've been playing for 17 years now. So, next year will be my 17th, and then when I'm 35, it'll be my 18th year in the league. I mean, it's a long time to be playing. It'll be my last year of my contract. So, I don't know. I don't know if I'll play any longer than that. I don't know.
How strongly do you feel about that?
It's just a possibility. It's not something that I even gave it much thought to, but it's a possibility. It could happen.
When do you think you give that more thought?
At the end of the year, that year, probably. I think you'll know. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I've seen so many players retired and think they know and then come back, and then retire and come back. And I don't want to be one of those guys, but I know they've all said it too. So it must be tougher than it sounds to be able to retire and to know when that moment is actually there. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, I guess.
To what extent is there the concern of just being able to replicate that satisfaction or that adrenaline rush that you get from playing the game?
I mean, after, when
Sure.
you finish playing? No, I'm pretty good about that, actually. I've never really played for like the adrenaline rush or the hype or anything like that. I never really played for that. Like, I play because I enjoy playing, and somebody has to win, so I'd rather it be me because it's a little bit more fun when you win.
Right.
So that's kind of why I play. I never really played for the hype or the fame that comes along with it.
How would you like your career to be looked back on?
I would love for people to look at my career and say that I maximized everything that I possibly could. Every ounce of talent that I had, I got the most out of it. And, if people can say that about me, then I'll be very happy.
Lakers this coming season, your expectations?
I have no idea what's going to go on. It's a big summer, obviously, for us as a team and for us as a franchise in terms of tweaks that we made to the roster and who stays, who goes, all this other stuff. So everything right now is kind of a moving target. So it's hard for me to kind of sit down and give blind expectations because I don't know what the rosters are going to be next year. But I expect us to be right there in the thick of things no matter what.
What do you see happening between now and then?
As far as the Lakers, I have no clue. I honestly do not know what's going to happen, what tweaks we're going to make. For myself personally, I'm going to London, baby. I'm going to try to get that gold medal. That's what I'm going to have to focus on.
How can you say you're in love with her?
Because I am.
But you just met her at the supermarket.
What can you possibly do?
In Depth with Graham Bensinger is brought to you by Snickers. You're not you when you're hungry. Snickers satisfied.
We had people submit questions online for you and just wanted to read 3 of them to you, the first of which is from Jonathan. What are your plans after you leave the game of basketball?
First of all, for a couple years, I'll probably do absolutely nothing. And then, the Nike business is something that really interests me in terms of how we put shoes together and apparel and kind of being a visionary behind that process. I mean, that's something that's extremely enjoyable.
Robbie asks, what inspires you?
I draw inspirations from a lot of places, from nature, from other people who are great at their craft. So I try to look around me and find inspiration from all over the place.
Jared, what can I do to get better as a 13-year-old guard?
Just continue to play. Just play, and have fun playing. I probably didn't do a basketball drill, like dribble through the cones, all those stuff. I probably didn't do a basketball drill until I was like 16. And up until that point, it was just me going to parks, just playing by myself, using my imagination, and just doing different things that I've probably saw on TV and playing pickup games and just kind of learning as I go, just having fun.
How can you say you're in love with her?
Because I am.
But you just met her at the supermarket.
All right, that's going to conclude our show for tonight. I want to thank everyone who was on it. We had a great show. We did have some serious stories that happened today, obviously, with the terror attack. And again, our prayers out to all the families who were affected, and hopefully justice will prevail, as I'm sure it will at some point. The only question is when, and we got to hope, though, it's soon. Let's thank Yossi G for coming on. We appreciate his time. He just got back from vacation, back stateside in the Hamptons. So we appreciate Yossi G coming on the program. Josh Hastings giving us updated news on the terror attack that I talked about. Jim Williams from the Washington Examiner talking about a lot of Joe Paterno, Penn State, possible death penalty for that university. And, of course, New York, Neil Amrani saying, I'm the best. I'm the sports guru in Israel. Appreciate those kinds of words, of course. Tomorrow, Andy should be back from his week-long assignment. And we're going to have some great shows, not only tomorrow, but next week as well. Tomorrow, Jeremy Lass, Speak Mike Gondelman, Ari Bluestein, and much, much more. That's tomorrow night. But that's it for tonight. God bless, and good night.